Hi dear students, welcome to online classes, Bangalore University. So today in my session, I'll be taking Sonnet 136 by William Shakespeare. This paper is prescribed for final year students, fifth semester, Bangalore University. So in this session, I'll be talking about a sonnet by William Shakespeare. If thy soul check thee, we will have a complete analysis and the important themes and structure of a sonnet. Before we go to the sonnet, I'll be talking about a brief history as well as the Shakespearean sonnet structure. Sonnet 136 is a very typical Shakespearean and English sonnet. This English sonnet has three quatrains, as obviously we discussed in earlier sessions, followed by final rhyming couplet. It follows the typical rhyme scheme of the form AB AB CD CD EF EF GG and is composed in iambic pentameter. Obviously, all Shakespearean sonnets composed in iambic pentameter. It is a type of poetic meter based on five pairs of metrical and symbolic syllabic positions. So the seventh line exemplifies a regular iambic pentameter. So this is the form and structure of a sonnet. The same form and the structure will be continued all of his sonnets. So now let us look at the sonnet 136. If thy soul check thee, that I come so near, swear to thy blind soul that I was thy will, and will thy soul knows is admitted there. Thus, for love, my love should sweet fulfill. Will will fulfill the treasure of thy love. I fill it full with wills, and my will one. In things of great receipt, with ease we prove, among a number one is reckoned none. Then in the number, let me pass untold. Thou in thy store's account, I one must be. For nothing hold me, so it please thee hold. That nothing me, a something sweet to thee, make, but my name thy love, and love that still. And then thou lovest me, for my name is Will. So this is how the sonnet reads like this. And now we will have a complete analysis about this particular sonnet. See, this sonnet number 136 is named as the Will sonnet along with sonnet number 135. Shakespeare calls these two sonnets as Will sonnets. So they are highlighted by their body nature and self deprecating humor on the part of the speaker. The two sonnets use the word will in three distinct ways. In these two sonnets, especially reckoning with sonnet 135 and now we are talking about sonnet 136. In these two sonnets, Shakespeare talks about will in three distinctive manner. So the first reference is to William Shakespeare as the speaker of the poem. Obviously, the speaker of the poem is none other than William Shakespeare. There is a small, intonation as well as clue you will get from the poem in the sonnet. Whenever the poet uses will, is nothing but that will is a close friend of William Shakespeare who is married Dark Lady. See, when we are talking about the relationship of Shakespeare as well as the Dark Lady marries Shakespeare's best friend and close friend who is called Will. See, the second is the representative of a person wants or wishes. See, the second will he is using inside the poem that is nothing but a wants as well as wishes of the poet. And it also carries the sense of a sex desire, a sexual desire, a physical pleasure, which was a common usage in Shakespeare time. So the speaker begins the sonnet by saying that if the subject's soul reproves her, then because it is not a conscious thought, she can still swear to her soul that the speaker is a William. See, look at that. See, the beginning part of the poem, the poet requesting before his beloved, that is mistress, the poet tells his mistress that if her conscience gets bothered, when he approaches her physical pleasure, if thy soul check thee that I come so near, then simply fool her conscience by telling he is her lover. Swear to thy blind soul that I was thy will, I was your will, and her conscience will agree as it knows only a will. Here, will is referred as sex, is allowed in her bed, and will, the soul knows, is admitted there. Look at that. Look at the beautiful context. And will is used so beautifully inside the poem as a pun. This is significant because modern historians have tentatively identified the dark lady of the sonnet is none other than Emilia Lanier, and she was married to Shakespeare's friend Will Lanier. That I told you pretty clearly in my earlier session. So Will is none other than Shakespeare's best friend. So because of her soul knows this will, here will is reckoning about his wishes, his wants. This is taken as the meaning that love is admissible. Will in the fifth line is used as a pun on the speaker's name and is the sexual desire. The speaker is saying both that he and will, both himself and his friend will, can fulfill the lady's desire and also that he can fulfill her sexuality. So, when we are talking about the second quatrain of the poem, and it's on it, it is possible that both uses of will in line 6 are used to mean sexual desire, no doubt about it. And see what the poet wants that lady must have to accept him as if she has the multiple lovers and he might be fulfill her sexual desires. So she has to count him as one among the so many lovers. The speaker is using this quatrain, second quatrain, to allude to the fact that the lady has many lovers. As we have noticed inside the sonnet, the lady has many lovers and he would only be one among many. He wanted to be one among them. And the third quatrain can be considered almost satirical in nature. It is a very satirical note you can see in this third quatrain. There, the speaker changes tactics and beseeches the lady to simply hold him but think of him as nothing. See, look at that. Look at the changing concept of a sonnet. There, he tries to comply to that lady he is going to be nothing in her life, and as long as he can please her, so he continues to please her. At the same time, he is requesting before her, she has to count him as nothing. The speaker, when we are talking about the concluding part of the poem and the sonnet, the Shakespeare has a beautiful technique. Whatever the questions, whatever the problematic things, whatever he wanted to tell in the first three quatrains, he had concluded the sonnet in a very fantastic manner that has shown in his earlier sonnets. This is also one among them that will show the speaker's intention and as well as his desire, what he wanted to tell. See, the speaker has gone from pledging himself the love, interest. See that? See the love, interest, time and again he is speaking about the physical pleasure, sexual desire, and physical contact he wanted to have with that lady. At the same time, he should be considered as one among so many lovers as she is having. To thinking only of satisfying his own carnal desires, his own sexual desires. In the couplet, in the final two lines of the sonnet, the speaker changes his initial argument of love my will to love my name. See, look at that. Look at the changing tone of a poem. At the final couplet, his argument is very clear. He wanted to change love my will to love my name. So the final line of the poem then shows the speaker's name and his will, his wish, his want, his desire is one and the same. See, the speaker name as well as his will is nothing but the same. That is the reason why he used will as a pun in line number 6 as well as line number 5. So that finally he concludes his sonnet. Since you love will, you are having a greater concern and you love him a lot, you love will, then you will love me because my name is Will. Obviously, ultimately, finally, you are going to love me just because my name is also Will. So the same kind of concern, the same kind of love he is having on her. So the poet concludes with his desire. He wanted to be a lover of that lady married to his own friend, a billionaire. So he wanted to convince his idea, his desire. He is convincing as well as pleading before her. She has to accept him as so many lovers she is already having. So let me complete this particular session with this sonnet. Thank you very much. Happy reading. Stay safe.